Good morning. This is Erin with the Department of Medicaid. It is not quite 8:30 and the waiting room is still clearing out. So we'll give it just a moment before we get started.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's gonna be a beautiful day today.
I sure hope so. I'm over this cold weather.
Me too.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty wonderful this morning.
I had an extra cup of coffee this morning, so I should be good to go and ready.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Okay, it is 8:30 and the waiting room is clear. But I only caught two committee members coming in. So if I missed anybody, do you mind to please turn your camera on or let me know that you're here? Sometimes when people come in big groups, I miss you.
Who do you have?
I have you and Dale.
Okay.
So I do not hear any other people speaking up. So I can keep an eye out as they come in and let you know if we get a quorum.
Okay.
We do have a few more people popping into the waiting room. So if we want to give it just a minute longer. Give me 1 second. I just got an email from Krista and she is having an issue with the thing. So let me send her the link and hopefully we can get her right in. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all?
Doing good, Emily. How about you?
Hanging in there. I'm sure others on this call have experienced the exhaustion post Disney, which is what I'm dealing with after surviving a week of that with 3 children under 7.
Yeah. That and the time
Dale,
comes right after it.
need a vacation from your vacation. It looks like we have a couple more members coming in. So as soon as they get logged in, we should have almost everyone, I think. Looks like Renee is in.
Well, good, then everyone's here.
And Krista, looks like she got in. Okay.
Mhm. All right.
Oh, there you guys are. Sorry, I had to scroll. Can't always see everyone's lovely face. You have a quorum, Dale, if you would like to begin.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March TAC meeting. And the first thing I'd like to ask is for the review and approval of the January 9th minutes. So everyone had a chance to read those.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second,
Yeah, I'll second.
all right. Thank you. First order of old business is once again a follow-up from the department. The study findings on the OT PT speech fee schedule. How's that going, Justin?
Hello, it is going good. We're still working on that. We still have not completed that or finalized that. So that's still in the process. I think we've got all the data. We're just kind of trying to put that together and analyze that, coming up with recommendations to send to leadership at this time.
All right, thank you. The next item is the process of getting retro PAs from traditional Medicaid when a member applies for disability and is assigned from an NCO back to Medicaid. Is that process getting any better? Anybody experienced that?
Dale, this is Pam. No, it's not getting any easier. I think Renee's having tech problems, but she may be able to comment too.
I see Renee's on here, but maybe she's muted.
She said she's having some issues hearing, so she's working on trying to get that fixed.
I chatted her, so maybe she'll see that.
The problem with the retro PAs is it's taking a lot of time and energy trying to get repaid. That's the biggest issue. And the other issue is with the prior authorization, you know, that when it switches from fee-for-service Medicaid to an MCO or vice versa, if it was an MCO and now fee-for-service Medicaid, that's mostly what it is. It's going that way, that where we've had a PA with the MCO, but now Medicaid, you know, just that whole process.
So Pam, this is Justin Derringer. When you talk about the process, do you mean just the administrative process itself? Because I know
Yeah, and it's taking a really long time because we can't be paid until the MCO has recouped. And sometimes they're recouping months before we're getting any sort of payment from Medicaid. And it's a lot of claims. Sometimes we've had as much as a year's worth of multiple discipline. It's just very time consuming and arduous.
So I
And
know we've done a
yeah.
couple of things to address the situation. The first thing we did was to kind of put in a a policy clarification that there only had to be one prior authorization. So I know that was an issue for a little while, is that some of the MCOs and fee for service, maybe both, were requiring additional prior authorizations if a member moved from one MCO to traditional Medicaid or from traditional Medicaid to an MCO. So we streamlined that process due to provider issues, so that there only has to be one prior authorization. Everybody will use that same prior authorization request. You don't have to have multiples. The other issue that we had was that we kind of had to put a policy in place, was when you have the, MCO come back and recoup. And then you build a new MCO and it's denied because of timely. So it's still there's still issues there because of the system. We're working on that. We're trying to get that corrected. But as a workaround, we go through the appeals route after that is denied for timely. But we are aware of that issue and the amount of time that it takes. It takes time to be able to correct that and in our systems and trying to create a fix for that. So that automatically picks up in the system. So it's not an easy fix apparently, according to our systems folks, and we are working on a solution for that particular issue.
Justin, did they give you an ETA on that? Like, is
No,
it
I don't have
6
any
weeks or is it 6
any
months?
ETA at all. It's system, so I don't know. I can tell you that we, you know, we try to get those paid as soon as possible when it comes to our attention. If it's something that we get a lot of provider feedback on our website or on our email address because of these, and we try to get them paid as soon as possible. And it's just kind of it's not a fix all, but it's something that we can offer for now. That's helping providers to get paid quicker. And until we're able to get that fixed.
Sorry, I was muted. Hopefully that will happen soon.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Systems, for some reason, we struggle with time.
Who is over the systems? Like who, if we wanted to like try to set up a meeting with them to like just from them, like they hear it from you, but sometimes when they hear it from providers, like who would be the appropriate person for us to do that?
Well, they're our contractors, so we generally don't set up meetings between our contractor and providers.
Okay, so they're not with the state. It's a
No,
contract.
that's correct. Yeah,
Does the state ever look at different contractors?
sure. Yeah, we do bids quite often when their contract runs up.
Okay.
We're in the process right now of switching between two systems. I think that's the thing that everybody needs to kind of keep in mind. It's not a normal time. We're changing two completely different payment systems. So the old system is ending, sunsetting, and the new system's beginning, and we're right in the middle of those two phases. So right now we're doing, training sessions and transitions, and so the new system's built and completed and the old system sunsetting. And so this is a completely new wrinkle that we're trying to throw into the new system. And so it goes against a lot of what was already written in the new system. So they're trying to go back and rework it, refigure it. And at the same time, we're trying to figure out how we can maybe stick it in the old system until we transition. And so it's not a simple fix.
Well, and that brings up a question that might be new business, but would that affect anything on our end with that new system? Like, will we need to do anything differently for you guys?
No, I think everything will flow just like it always has for you all.
Thank you.
So this is Pam again, and Renee, you may be able to comment what you all are experiencing about the retro, but it's the volume, it's a high volume and it's a lengthy amount of time to get the MCO to recoup. We are still required by fee-for-service Medicaid to get a prior auth. So we still have to go through that process. They're not honoring.
They should be now. If you have anything
They're
within
not.
the past,
Yeah.
okay, you've had something within the past couple of weeks.
PAs are still required, yes.
Okay. If
That's
you
what I'm
would,
being told.
could
Mhm.
you send me maybe who told you that, or that's not the case?
Sure,
Somebody's just not informed. I appreciate it. I'll do a
yeah,
better job of getting that information out as quickly as possible to whoever's misinformed.
yeah, it's the, w- our Medicaid rep, Vicky Hicks, is having to manually process all of the claims, and it's just time consuming, because they would all deny for timely. So the system doesn't allow an override in this situation. And then it ends up being a manual process. So it's taking, it can take 3 to 6 months for us to get repaid.
Okay, I guess we can move on to the third item. And that's regarding the caregiver CPT codes for caregiver training. And I know that Justin, you mentioned that you guys approved those, but I didn't see them on the fee schedule. There's a reason for that?
No, those codes have been added to the fee schedule. They should be there. If they're not there today, they should show up within about a week or so.
Okay.
Sometimes our website isn't updated as quickly as it takes a few weeks, but those have been added.
Okay, good, sounds good.
I was able to access those on the fee schedule earlier this week or late last week.
Good, good.
Good. Yeah, I haven't looked in a week, so it's right around there.
Yeah, just kind of keep in mind with those things. It takes a couple of weeks for the website to catch up with the updates.
Mhm.
It goes through a
Um,
process.
Dale, it's Pam again. Can I
Mhm.
ask a question regarding those codes?
Sure.
So the key about these codes is it is without the Medicaid member present. So it is the caregiver and the therapist, for example, together. So if the child was seen on the same day, for example, and a different therapist saw the child for caregiver training, we're just wondering, how can you put, there are other disciplines that you can put two MPIs, two techs on, two different providers on the same claim, billing two different codes. And or say the child had a session this week and another day they were billed for caregiver training. Does that use up an additional visit? Like if they're on the same claim, that wouldn't use an additional visit. But if they're not on the same claim, does that use like in the prior auth period, does that use a visit, or are these codes outside of the prior auth?
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, we can move to item 4, physician signature on plan of care. And I sent this agenda out before I received the March 7th provider letter. And that states the policy clarification related to the physician signatures on plan of care. I sent that out to all the TAC members. I hope you got it. And would you like to review it or have discussion?
Dale, it might have just been me, but it was a little contradicting. It was still a little muddy. I didn't know if anybody else felt like that or if they felt like it was clear. Maybe that was just me reading it last night after a long meeting.
No, Renee, this is Pam. I agree with you.
Okay.
I can help with any questions you might have.
Also, Renee, I'm not sure if you had this question as well. Typically, I wondered if the physician TAC had seen this. Typically, kids go for annual checkups, you know, at the older ages. Obviously, if we're treating a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, they're not being seen by a physician typically at the 6-month mark. So the question I had is, could we not change this to an annual situation since their regular well checkup is more of an annual event? That way, if they're, you know, still being treated at that 1-year mark, it might be more in line because we tend to get referrals after they've been to their annual checkup. That's when the physician, that's a typical time that they refer. So I was just wondering if anyone had that thought and if the rhythm of how that pediatrician is seeing that child, it seems to make more sense to do that.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, we still have, I guess my question, we still have to get the plan of care for just other insurance companies, and their timelines are different. As well. So like our processes still have to stay in place. I think I'd have to pull it back up, but I mean, you still have to have a plan of care. And certain ones still require, you know, certain commercial plans still require that in their time frame. But I think where I was muddied, and I'd have to pull it up, and I don't have it pulled up on the screen, but it said something like, you try to, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like, you can try to get a signature, but if you don't, it's okay, or something like that. Like, I don't know if I was reading it like that. And so I was like, well, what does it matter then if you try and you don't? I don't know. Like, that just don't, was I reading that wrong? That was what I was confused
Right.
about.
No, yeah. So there's no signature requirement initially. So there's a physician's order to get therapy services. You all as providers um, provide that plan of care. You work with the doctors as needed, which is, I think, what you're talking about, maybe what you read, which is the same thing that's in administrative regulation that says you cooperate with the physician's office. So you cooperate with them as needed to complete and create your plan of care. If there's any substantial change in that plan of care, that would indicate a change from why the physician sent individual in the first place, then that plan of care, that corrected plan of care would need to be signed by a physician or physician's office. And you can see who all is allowed to sign that from the physician's office in the letter. And then if the services last 6 months at that time, then there would need to be a signature as well. So that's the two caveats. Remember, we are working on a few issues to maybe we're working on one issue that has a possibility in the future of having some diagnosis codes that are exempt from the 20 limit prior authorization. That would those would be exempt from that 6-month requirement as well. But for right now, those are the two times that a signature would need to be provided. And other than that, it's just cooperating with the, we're in collaboration with the physician's office as needed. So not trying to get a signature, just working with them as needed for you to complete your plan of care.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Justin, it's Pam again. I have a few questions around that. Are we going to define what a change is? And I'm only asking this because if this gets put in place, it becomes a reimbursement issue. It becomes an issue that, you know, a payer could if it's not clearly defined, they could recoup the money saying, well, this plan and care changed and you didn't get a signature on it. You know, like they can just make up what the change is. If the goals change, I mean, the goals should change on a plan of care that shows progress or change. But I think what you're meaning is frequency or duration or something of that nature. But I think the change has to be defined, or else any change on the plan of care could mean, you know, and we can't get a prior auth if we're not showing progress. That's part of medical necessity. So it all has to line up.
Yeah, we can look at maybe possibly doing that. I think if we were to define significant change, we would probably add that to the administrative regulation, go through that process. I don't think we want to do that outside of the administrative regulation. I think it kind of boxes you in to your all's judgment. I think we say significant change, and that definitely doesn't mean that their goals are changing or progress is being made. You know, that's a change to why the physician sent them there in the first place. So we will look at adding that to the administrative regulation. Absolutely.
And just clarification, this applies to all Medicaid plans. It's not specific to fee for service or anything
That's
like that.
correct.
So does anyone else have any concerns about reimbursement along the lines of this? Because if it's not clearly defined, then that allows, and this is happening in audits. We have had payers say, you don't have a plan of care signed for this claim, when, you know, I can just see this going that way in audits, that wanting to recoup based on their interpretation of a change, a significant change, or anything else. If anyone has any other thoughts.
I don't know. I think, Pam, the first paragraph, the last sentence, you know, it states a signature from the physician or physician's office will no longer be required on the plan of care. That's pretty, I don't think you can tease out, well, for reimbursement purposes, it does. That statement right there is pretty clear, I think.
I think what she's talking about, Dale, is that second paragraph though, where it's talking about the significant plan of care modification, that's when you do have to have a signature.
Mm-hmm.
Our concern is that what's the definition of significant? And I do think that we need some better wording there, because that's very subjective as to what I think is significant and what another person over here think is significant, you know, whatever. So Pam's right. I think that, you know, they're going to come back and say, they could say whatever they want to say, really. If the language is not very clear, if it's supposed to be, and I understand, I think, Justin, what you're saying is, like, if it's maybe, let's say the child was referred for torticollis, but then later on they are toe walking. And so that's a different thing. I mean, yeah, it's still PT, but it's different, you know, how that's being treated, and the goals and all these things are changing. But that's not clear from the word significant, I don't think. So especially
And also,
when you don't
and
have
also that,
go ahead, Pam.
the timeline of that significant change. So, for example, there is a regular rhythm of treating that child, and does that signature need to happen within 30 days of that change of that plan of care, within 14 days, what's that timeline on either side? It's, in my opinion, very hard to get a plan of care signed back in any less than 30 days. So that's another concern, you know, to be able to meet the requirement of that significant change. and what constitutes an episode of care. So like Cresta said, if we use the example of a torticollis baby, came in for torticollis, was treated, and then a new thing develops. If they ended care for 30 days, is that then a new episode of care, or does it have to be more than 3 months? Or, those are the questions I have.
Yeah, I think those are good questions, Pam. And again, I think those are things that we're trying to put into the administrative regulation. And so those will be things that are added there. I'm not sure if we want to completely define that in policy. If there is any issue though with payment as far as being extremely subjective or picky on goals changing or something like that, please feel free to reach out and let us know so we can mediate that through the process. And we are working on that administrative regulation at this time. So we have to kind of follow the normal rhythm of promulgating an administrative regulation. So that will take a little bit of time.
Okay, well, you ready to move on to item 5? The request to add a speech therapy fee schedule, CPT code 92605, evaluation for prescription of non-speech generating augmentative and alternative communication device face-to-face with the patient first hour. Justin, you said that you would have that added to the code, to the fee schedule, and maybe it's just a matter of time, just like the other ones. It just hasn't got on there yet.
This one is a little different. So we're still kind of in the process of reviewing this one. This code is not covered by a lot of the surrounding states. It's not covered by a lot of states, period. And so this one's going to take a little longer to research. We're having to really dig to find a state that covers it, or a grouping of states. And so this one's going to take a little more time to decide whether we can add it or not. But it's still in the research phase. And as soon as we get something definitive, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
The things I've read on that recently, Dale, were that 92507 is basically just supposed to encompass that code, since it's a non-speech generating. So I think that if I had to guess, the code will probably kind of go away eventually. I don't know how soon, and I don't know how frequently people are wanting to use it, but for that case, we just, 92507 is pretty much what we're stuck with. So.
All right. The last item here is provider reports, one requesting STPA through the DMS portal. They are asked for proof that the patient is not receiving duplicate services at school. I think it was maybe resolved at the last meeting that they cannot ask you for that. So is there any discussion on that?
That should have been corrected. That shouldn't be an issue anymore. If it is, please reach out. We'll take care of any specific instances, but that should not be an issue again. We were told that was again, a training issue, and that shouldn't happen anymore. So I think we've taken care of that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. My computer was not working right this morning on the first one because I missed that. Can you let me know what was the follow-up?
So
Go ahead.
number 6,
No, for number 1.
Number one.
uh, still in process of that review. Has not been completed.
So, in January, there was a meeting that was supposed to happen with the Senate from the secretary and the commissioner's office. And they said that they would have some data to them. And they have not received that, is my understanding. Do you have any confirmation on when that is going to get to them? Because we're in the last few weeks here of the budget, like it's coming down to a crunch. And they're still waiting. And they said in January they would have it to them. And
I know
Is
there's
Veronica-
been quite a bit of information relayed to the legislature based on rates.
is my understanding that they have not received what in the meeting that we had at the state level, that they have not received that information that they specifically asked for. Based on speech OT and PT. I'm not talking about the other information that the state's been giving them, but they're requesting specifically some points from STOT and PT.
If you can email me what specific legislators are you're referring to, I can go back and look and we
It's,
can,
yeah, I mean, Veronica has that information.
Okay.
She was, and Secretary Freelander. I mean, they had said that they were gonna get that information back. So,
I'll check and get back some specifics with you.
yeah, it's just the data of, the amount for pediatric and, outpatient, and then, also regular medical, like all the amounts with their codes.
Sure.
To see the impact of the budget. And, I think that's what they're waiting on.
I'll let you know. I know we have all that research and we've sent that out to multiple parties, so I'll see, get back exactly who and when and all that good stuff.
And Justin, it's Pam. Do you have any update on the $900 million Medicaid shortfall that the Senate is dealing with in the budget? Because that would actually mean cuts for everybody across the board.
No update right now.
So any other new business? And do we have any recommendations to the MAC in this meeting? If not, the next TAC meeting is Tuesday, May 14th. And we'll see everyone then. We'll adjourn.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.